beautifuls. Hannah here from Reality Awareness. This space, we've just come out of our powerful full moon ceremony. And during the full moon ceremony, I got a download and I'm like, the being came through. I've been waiting for the being to come through, and they came through, and I have another world prediction update. I'm super nervous, super nervous about it, so don't mind me. So let me know when you're here, say hi. I'm going to share this as always and get rid of my nerves about what's streaming through about this, because yeah, that was the next level full moon ceremony. The last full moon ceremony was super powerful. This one, next level again. I always know that next level. So I don't know if you guys can see, like, all my animals just decided to join as well. Not all of them, but there's some of them here. All right. Oh my goodness, how come I'm so nervous about this? This is intense. No, it's not intense. This is the expansion. Oh my goodness, we just come out of the full moon ceremony talking about this because, yeah, that came up in the full moon ceremony, and all these cards here are from the full moon ceremony, and I've left them there. I felt called to leave them there because, yeah, I feel like that was, well, it's all part of it. So, oh my goodness, so nervous. Wait, should you ride there, mate? Look at themselves. I'm just gonna have a good old blip. Just don't mind me, y'all. See, that's right. A bit of fire crackling. That was some powerful next level stuff. Oh my goodness. These full moon ceremonies are like getting better and better and better and better and better. Nervous or excited? Nervous, yeah. I'm nervous. I could say excited, but I don't know that that's really the thing. Okay, almost finished sharing these. Here we go. Alright, so I'm gonna have this here so I can see the thing. Oh, got some music going here. I'm just gonna turn this thing off because I don't want it.
Bluetooth pairing.
Oh no, I just want to turn it off. How do I turn this off? It's not mine, it's my daughter's. Oh, there we go, turn it off. So, that was for our full moon ceremony. So here we go. Thanks, my dress. Ceremony dress. Not intense, tender for you. I know, I'm like, why did I just say that? Okay, maybe because I've obviously got to talk about it, right? Because we just come out of the full moon ceremony freaking saying that. So, oh my goodness. So, hey Glenn, hey Kylie. Yes, my babies and Sarah's here as well. So welcome. All right. Okay, so that's what it was today. I just sent me a text message and she's like, oh my God, I just connected to my speaker, so sorry. It's alright, I just turned it off. Hilarious. All right, I tell myself things. I'm excited when I am nervous. It works a treat. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know why I'm nervous. Maybe because if you guys know me for a long time, especially when I first came online, and I think this is a big part of who I am. In a sense, you know, like obviously I give psychic readings and I do psychic readings, but I don't predict the future, right? I'm like, I don't predict the future, like, and why? Why don't I predict the future? Because my beliefs and where I'm at with that is that nothing is set in stone. Like, nothing is set in stone, right? And so when we look at, you know, like, predicting the future, like when anybody reads an oracle card or a tarot card or any sort of reading, like, and they're predicting the future, like what they're predicting is one possibility that if this person continues to make the same choices, the same actions, the same behaviors, the same train of thought, like, yes, that reality is going to unfold, right? But if that person changes their behavior, changes their thoughts, changes their feelings, changes stuff in their life, then they're going to create a different path. And that's why nothing nothing is set in stone, right? And I think a big part of my like purpose and coming on and, you know, like especially coming online and, you know, is because like people were always scared of psychic readings, you know, it's a big fear, talking about the witch hunts and blah, 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 because, you know, like people were scared of them predicting the future for whatever reason and whatever happens in the past, like, you know what I mean? So people have this thing where they're scared of it, and my big thing is like to not make people scared of it anymore, because it's a natural part of who we are. Intuition is who we are. Like if you think about, you know, people are like, oh, I'm not psychic, or I'm not, you know, intuitive, or I'm not any of this stuff, or like that's not me. Like I guarantee you every single person on this planet is. Even the people who people think are reptilians or draconians or all that stuff, those people are also intuitive. Let me explain, okay? Obviously, we're starting to roll into the prediction stuff because this is so interesting what's coming out. Okay. Why? Because if you ask that person, any person on the planet, if you ask them, what do you feel like for dinner tonight? That person is going to go, I feel like da-da-da. Like, they're going to do that, right? Like, tell me someone on the planet who will not do that. Do you guys agree? Let me know. Like, every single person on the planet, if you ask that question, they'll be like, I feel like da-da-da-da. Be like, cool, let's get this for dinner. Like, honestly, like every person will do that at some point in time. They will be tuning into what they feel like to eat. Now you might be like, well, Hannah, that's not intuition. And I'm like, well, actually, when they're like, what are they doing? They're tuning into their body. They're tuning in on the inside. They're tuning in on what's going on. They're tuning into their intuition about what their intuition is talking about. Where does that intuition come from? It comes from source. Yeah? Every single person is connected to that. Even the people who people judge on this planet, and they think they're reptilians or whatever the freaking label is, and they're not human. I'm like, dude, really? Every single person has that thread. It's called consciousness, it's called source, or they would not be living and breathing and standing up and doing the thing. Right? Like, it's a thing. It comes from source. Every single person. Yeah? Every single person. Now, in that space, right? Why did I even get onto that? I didn't even know why I got onto that. Obviously, I needed to connect into the source space. Right? Let me check these comments. Oh my god, I was like, okay, so where are we going with that now? Oh, Siri's trying to tell me now. Hey Annie, so true, yes, right? So, in that space, right, and maybe this is because talking about this, there's a lot of stuff going on the planet right now. Obviously, duh, yeah? Now, one wise soul who was just in my full moon ceremony, and we just came out of the full moon ceremony, and we were talking about they asked if we're going to do like another ceremony on the solar eclipse as well, and I'm like, yes, that's happening. So if you're in the group, we just did the lunar eclipse now, we're doing the solar eclipse on the new moon, and then we'll be doing the next one. I think it's, what is it, a lunar eclipse on the next one, right? And so when we look at those like eclipses, and she said actually the solar eclipse, I can't remember what it's called. Something about I can't remember what it was called. Or did Sarah say it? I think Sarah said it. I think both of you were saying it, Dale and Sarah. So you're saying it was like a crowning eclipse or something? No, that's not the word you said. It was like a birthing eclipse. I don't know, a ring of fire eclipse. That's right. So the solar eclipse coming up in 2 weeks, which we'll be doing ceremony for too, so you can always join the full moon ceremony and get access to that. So the ring of fire is actually like a birthing. They said it's the ring of fire. It's like a birthing, a birthing crown type thing. And I was like, well, what have I been saying for weeks? I'm like, humanity is going through a spiritual awakening right now. What happens is that our crown chakra is cracked open. Yeah, like we have a spiritual awakening. And what else happens when we're, have a birthing through the crown? What happens? We're birthing through the vagina. Now, what's kind of interesting is that a lot of people today are actually cesareaned out, right? And they are, taken out so they don't get that crowning moment, which is a whole nother ball game. So interesting, right? So natural birth, even if it's not natural birth, like just anything but, the Caesar, there's nothing wrong with it if you've had that. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's so interesting, right? Because the crowning and the birthing is so significant, right? When we look at what humanity is going through right now and going through its own spiritual awakening, and the solar eclipse is the birthing through, like that's really big, yeah? Hey Maria, hey Juanita, hello, and Annie as well, Annie's here. And so when we look at that, it's like this world prediction. So in the full moon ceremony, I was like, okay, downloading the full moon ceremony and I'm getting all these messages about the world prediction stuff and everything, and I'm like, okay, this is really interesting because in January I got the message to do that world prediction and was a little bit nervous about it, definitely. Hey Natasha. And that world prediction in January, I called it natural disasters because I was too scared to say human disasters. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I literally labeled it that. I never voiced it on the live stream because I was too scared. Because here I am, Hannah, saying, oh, that's where we were, right? Hannah, like, come online 4 years ago. I don't do predictions. No. So anti it. Why? Because we create our own reality. Because yes, we can see a future, but it's not the only future. There's a multi-dimensional universe out there with all realities existing at once. We only need to pivot and change our behavior, our thoughts, and we can create a whole new life for ourselves, right? Like, it's a thing. Everybody knows, like, if we were to leave a relationship or leave a career or change something in our life or our body, we live a new lifestyle. We have a new life, right? Nothing is set in stone. It depends on what we choose to do every single day when we wake up and turn up. Now, this whole thing, right, around, like, I don't predict the future, is because of that. But then in the past maybe 12 months, I've been asking, what's my next level purpose? What am I stepping into? And then in January, like, this star being literally came through and got me out of the float and told me all this stuff. Well, it was literally like I was in a float. So the float, so we'd go for a float in the, what are they called? There's another word for them. You guys know what I'm talking about. If not, just let me know. And in the float, and he literally came through. Well, I was in the float, received all this information. There was so much information, and I was like, whoa, hang on a sec. Like, it was so much that I literally had to get out of the float, dry my hands with my phone hanging out of the float, and like download all this stuff on my phone. Like, it was really intense, and I had to go home and then live stream about it. So if you haven't seen that live stream, please let me know and I might reshare it again. That star being, for a long time, I've been scared to come out about who that star being is. So my label of a star being encompasses every alien and different species that you can find in the universe. Like, I've just called it a star being because they come from out of this planet, and in all multi-dimensional universe, of course, there's Arcturians and Palladians and Draconians and Reptilians and all these different beings, right? I call it star being, just to put a label on the thing. Now, of course, I've talked to different beings, but when, this specific being, and this is why the Meet Your Star Being guide meditation is that as well, because you see who your star being is from which planet and all that sort of thing, right? Now, the star being, flotation chamber, yeah, what's another word? There's another word. It is something in chamber. There's a different word, chamber. Oh, not compression chamber, oh my goodness. No, it's something else as well. Yeah, you got it right. I'm getting the message to tell you guys who that actually is, who that being was. So remember, this is back in January when nobody really knew this world stuff was going to happen. Nobody knew lockdown was going to happen, right? So this being came through, got me out of the flow, downloaded the stuff, did the live stream, and then 6 weeks later I'm in the car driving because a cyclone was coming. And then I came back and then I was driving again because of the vision I had of men in white puffy suits coming around to their house and force vaccinating people. And I didn't tell anyone because everyone would have thought I was crazy. And then what happens, you know, like 2 months later, what is all on the news? Oh, that vision, right? Now, everything that I predicted in that pretty much coming true. It was a little bit like, you know, talking about Turkey and stuff, and I still don't really know the depth of what that means, but I kind of do at the same time when I look at, you know, through Turkey and Afghanistan is where the crystal lapis lazuli comes from. I'm lapis lazuli. So yes, that message came through as a direct, you know, representation of me, my life, and everything that's unfolding for sure, but also look at the world, right? And lapis lazuli, that's where that crystal natural comes from, but it's truth, it's realization of the truth. And it was like, in that prediction, it was like the world's going to drop out from underneath you. And I was like, what does that mean? You know, and I was like, oh, is Turkey going to collapse, or is it like falling into the earth, or what happens? Because it actually showed me like this energy from Turkey literally dropping. It was like, you can imagine Turkey just dropping into the ocean, going, and it was like a vortex or something going underneath Africa and all the way up between Africa and, oh my goodness, whatever country's on the other side. That's so bad right this second. But in the ocean, something's going to rise up. Now, whether that's just energetic in a vortex or something, or literally the earth's going to shift and there'll be a new continent there, I don't know. Who really knows? But when we look at actually all the energy that's shifting on the earth, and I actually shared this the other day, I think, in a blog, I think. So, you know, like as empaths and everything, we feel the energy of the earth, right? And these eclipses that start from today, or, you know, in a couple of hours, is the peak of it. These eclipses, hey Liam, these eclipses have, they have, like, as I was tuning into it the other week when I realized this was happening, I was like, oh my goodness, this feels like the same energy as August 2018 when there was the last 3 eclipses. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, that was 18 months ago? No, it's nearly 2 years ago, isn't it? And so with that energy, I was like, oh, it feels the same, right? Really big, really intense, lots of life changes, huge energy, but it feels like it's under the ground. Now, one of my attendees in the full moon ceremony just said that she had all volcanoes. I dreamt of volcanoes probably about 3 weeks ago. Someone else is talking about volcanoes, and I was like, oh, does that mean a volcano's coming? Or, you know, like, but I just want to point out that all the riots and everything, and whether they're like, you know, staged or like, who really knows, like the truth about it all, but we kind of do, but you know, let's not go into that right now. There's enough of that going on. All that stuff. As empaths, we feel other people's energy. If we're not conscious of that, what happens in that space is that we like, yeah, like we feel it, right? We feel all this like, yeah, energy in a way. It's quite, yeah, intense or something. It, you know, like it makes us feel agitated, or we're like, yeah, we like play out all these behaviors. And if we're not conscious as an empath and know how to ground that energy, or know that we're carrying somebody's energy or anything like this, and this is why I'm so passionate about teaching you guys, like, who's your energy, who are you carrying, like, are you grounded, what's your self-care, like, where's your energy at, like, who did you interact with, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, why? Because we're all intuitive. Because any person on this planet, when you ask them, what do you feel like for dinner, they're like, I feel like such and such. What did they just do? They just tuned into their own energy. They just tuned into their body. They just tuned into what they're wanting for dinner. They just tuned in source. They tuned into their body. They tuned in. Everybody has that, right? And so everybody is connected. Now, here's a quote-unquote theory. What if all the rights, what if this spiritual awakening, what if all of this energy that is catastrophically making the planet what it is right now, it doesn't matter who's to blame, it doesn't matter who started it, it doesn't matter what's going on, it doesn't matter blah, 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 blah. What if it is deeper than that? What if the reality is the Mother Earth or humanity is actually having a rebirth, hence the next solar eclipse in 2 weeks, literally crowning a new way of being, right? When we have a spiritual awakening, we crack open our crown chakra and the light can finally come into our body. What if Right now, it is like, and if you can imagine, like on top of the earth, for example, is gonna feel like this, energetically, not physically like earthquakes, even though there's always earthquakes, right? But energetically, it's being shaken up, okay? And people, meaning every single person on the planet, because even if they think they're not psychic, or they think they're not intuitive, or they think they're not empathic, or they think they're not, yes, there's some people that are more sensitive than others, okay, but others are just unconscious to it, and they still play out the same energy, they're just not conscious of it, okay? So what if the earth is like doing this at the moment, okay, and everyone on the earth is feeling it, and the unconscious people, for example, are the ones that are playing out the energy of shaking it up, riot, fighting, no, it's wrong, rah. Like, oh my goodness, right? Now, for a long time, and there's been a few astrological people sharing in the past 6 to 8 months, that our Earth is due for a big pole shift. Our Earth is due for a continent shift. So you guys know the history of Earth in a way. Our continents never used to be like this. They used to be different, right? What happened? And now we're here. Now everyone's been predicting for a long time that we're due for that. Nobody knows when, because technically it should have already happened, but who's to say it's not preparing for that soon? Now this could take another 10, 50 years, because when we look at however long Earth's been along for like however billion years or whatever, I don't even know, long time, right? 10 to 50, 100 years is not very long in that grand scheme of things. So if we rewind to the 1600s, right? And the 1600s is when, what just came through, the 1600s, the 16th century is when lockdown began. That is just what they just told me. The 16th century is when lockdown began. Guys, please share this if you feel this can help somebody, right? Very intense, have a hard time grounding. Yeah, strong energy, right? So the mid-1600s is when lockdown started. So if we look at the cycles of Earth and life, like literally, like, I don't know, okay, hang on. How long ago did our continents shift? Dogs are agreeing. Okay, so Pangaea, I don't know how to pronounce it, was a supercontinent that existed during the late Paleozoic and early Mesozoic eras. You can tell my pronunciation is like brilliant, right? Hey, I know one of my inner circle clients talks about this, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head, is the Paleozoic era. So interesting, Paleozoic. We talk about the paleo diet. Is that where it stems from? How interesting. Well, I don't know if it does, that just thought came to me. That fire's really hot. The Paleozoic, so who are the original people? That name is familiar, right? So it assembled from early continental units approximately 335 million years ago, and it began to break apart about 175 million years ago. Right, so what's the diagnostics of that? I'm not sure. What do the continents look like 65 million years ago? Oh, so maybe that's when it began. Okay. What were the continents? See, 50 million. See, this is a long time coming. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, these are long chunks of time. And that's why, interesting. Yeah, it's super interesting, right? And that's why, like, you know, people are like, when's this going to be over? And when are we going to get back to normality and all this sort of thing? And like originally in January, this being that came through said, because I said, well, when is this going to go on to? And they said August, right? And then they said, but it's going to continue into 2022 until the propaganda can't hold down the truth anymore. Okay, so those of you who are out there like fighting for the truth and like stuff like that, like do what you need to do, follow your heart and soul, do all that. But if you're getting frustrated because nobody's listening yet, they won't until 2022. Now, it's interesting that right now on this birthing of this solar eclipse, okay, is exactly 18 months until 2022. Kind of interesting, right? What do I always talk about? The 18-month birthing cycle. The 9 months, so there's 6 months, it kind of hits reality. 9 months, it's a birthing cycle, 9 to 10 months of a pregnant mother, birthing. And then there's another 9-month cycle. There's an 18-month healing cycle. Until 2022, people are not going to wake up. Yeah? It's a thing. So if you're getting stressed out, if you're getting tired, if you're not sure, if you're exhausted, if you're like, when is this going to happen? Like, why aren't people listening? Like, this is so bad. I'm so depressed. I'm like, all this grief. Like, guys, you really need to understand this is not going to shift fully. So it's not, I don't feel like the intensity of it will change until 2022. And I'm hearing like mid 2022 is when the energy will really start to shift. So 2022, like January, February, March, people are going to really start to become conscious and have maybe have the balls, as the word goes, you have the balls to face the reality of what's actually happening. Until now, people are still in denial. Okay? But January, February, March, people are going to like wake up again almost. We are, at the 18-month birthing cycle, it like hits reality again, and like that's when it shifts. It hits reality again for the next like January, February, March of 2022 is going to be like another wake-up call. But what's actually happening is people are having the balls to actually face reality and perhaps do something about it. But I feel like a lot of people are going to feel really lost in January 2022, like January, February, March 2022. People are going to feel extremely lost. You think people are lost now? They're kind of not lost now because there's still a bit of normality. It's kind of like, okay, maybe we can believe what they say. Or there's all these conspiracy theories. Oh, maybe this is what's happening. Oh, okay, well maybe, oh, but it's kind of normal again now, so that's okay. So we'll just continue that. So people are still in a bit of denial, like that sort of thing. And that's okay. Please know that it's okay. Because, why? It's part of the spiritual awakening process. Like, it's so important to understand that. Yeah, it's so important to understand that that's part of the spiritual awakening process. Yeah? Really, really important. That's interesting to think Uluru was sacral, the fires was the heart, seeing the truth now in the crown. It appears we have come up the chakras since the start of 2020. Yeah. Mother Earth is having her own deep cleanse. Yes, Angie Price. Yes. That's how the top of my head's been feeling, like it's going to erupt, crowning. Yeah. So things we can do about this, guys, right? Now, I just got the message I'm just going to bring. Oh, because that fire is like really hot as well. I'm just going to bring this over a bit. Sit closer. I want to like see you guys. I want to see you guys. That's better. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Oh, hi. I sat over there for the full moon ceremony, but I feel like this is really important that I need to be here. I need to be present with it. So, oops, flipping over my dress and stuff. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, so just to make sure that I cover everything. Okay, I'm just gonna bring this down a bit. Adjusting. Okay, awesome. All right, neighbor's dogs. So, yes, this is really interesting, okay? And so this, like energy, and I guess I'm sharing this in the message I'm getting this about this is like, okay, you want to talk about being prepared, want to talk about get prepared, want to talk about your life purpose, want to talk about all that sort of stuff. Well, here we are, get prepared. I just told you guys that in 2022, January, February, March, people are going to feel even more lost than they are. And what I feel that is about, so right now, the people who are waking up are still unconscious quite a lot. Now that's very judgmental, but you know what I mean? There's certain people that are just still doing a thing, like they're kind of like, ooh, and it's scary and stuff, like the whole reality is being shattered right now, okay, consciously, yeah? So I feel like that, because when the star being said to me in 2000, but he said August, we'll go on to August, but in 2022, it'll continue, this energy will continue until 2022, until propaganda can't hold down the truth anymore. So as much as we want the truth to come out and maybe certain individuals on the planet are going to save us or do all these things, like it's a long process. And I don't think that anything will really start to shift or we see huge, massive changes until 2022. So when I say be prepared, when I talk about your life purpose, when I talk about all that sort of stuff, well, this is what we're talking about. Like, this is the connection to your purpose. And if you're being called to step up in the healing industry or put yourself out there or do anything like that, like, please follow that, because there is a lot of unconscious people in the world who are waking up and who are like, but they're just not sure, right? They're waiting for you. They're waiting for their leader to step up. Okay, so this is what I specialize in, obviously, helping gifted empaths to fine tune and hone in their gift and be able to know how to put that out in the world, because only like this spiritual awakening is only going to become more conscious, more awake. I think it was Will Smith shared a freaking awesome like meme the other day, and I probably should have shared it, but I was just like, oh, I'm done with like sharing this stuff for a moment. But he said, said something along the lines of like, racism isn't getting worse, it's just getting filmed. And I'm like, yeah, it's becoming conscious. It's not unconscious anymore. It's not pushed down. It's not buried anymore. It's becoming conscious. I was like, yeah, like it is. That's what's happening. Earth is becoming conscious. I said a while ago, I posted a meme or something, my quote stuff, humanity, I said, consciousness is becoming conscious of itself. Consciousness is becoming conscious of itself. Like, that's what's happening, yeah? And we see that in the people. And we see that in the people who are still fighting the reality of that. And that will go on for some time. And this is why it's so important to harness your energy, to really hone in on what you're being called to do in your purpose, to step up and fine tune your psychic gifts and fine tune your energy and fine tune your all of you. Because if you have some sort of little inkling, or you know that you can help people, but it's weird, or you step out in the spiritual stuff and people look at you like, blah. Like, seriously guys, like, this is the time to prepare. You want to talk about preparing for your life purpose, you want to talk about, like, we've got 2 years, okay? And then by 2027, everybody is going to be living this way. Like I've said for a long time, I'm like, if you're not doing this spiritual stuff, you're going to be left behind. You want to talk about technology? If you're not keeping up with technology, you're going to be left behind. It's the same thing. Why? Because the most powerful technology on the planet is your intuition. It is. Who's AI? Who is AI? Artificial intelligence, artificial intuition. AI is intuition. When you really tap into the source of artificial intelligence, where does that come from? It comes from source. It comes from source. It comes from source, right? It comes from source. Goosebumps. Oh, Denise, Colorado. Awesome. Where are you guys from? Let me know around the world. Hector. Is Hector still here? Because Hector. Yes. Just connecting now. I'll reply later. Curious to hear all in the full moon ceremony. Oh my God, man. The full moon ceremony was next level. Last full moon ceremony was next level. Oh my goodness. And we had this beautiful divine space. Look guys, check it out. Oh yes, triple goddess, dragons, and yeah, lots of triple goddess energy, which by the way, it's like three eclipses. And I'm like, oh yeah, is that why the triple goddess is coming through so strongly? And look, the eclipses, right? The lunar eclipses and the solar eclipse. Like, yeah, so we're going to do, those of you who are in the full moon ceremony, we'll be doing a new moon solar eclipse ceremony as well. So there's still time to join. So we've got these ceremonies coming in. Yeah. So exciting. Okay. So, all right, what are the other messages coming through? So yeah, I keep getting that message, like, be prepared. Okay, so I'm really nervous to share this next bit, but I got the message in the full moon ceremony that it's time for me to share the identity of the star being that came through, got me out of the float in January 2020, and who that was, right? And as I said at the start of this live stream, the star being is a label I use to cover all beings from outer space. It's just an easy way. Of course, there's Arcturians, Palladians, there's all sorts of beings, but I just say star being, and of course I'm referring to a particular one. When I say that, I know who I'm talking about, but I just kind of refer to that as that. And I leave it open too, right? I purposely say that, and I purposely have that in the Meet Your Star Being Guide meditation, so that you allow who your star being guide is to come to you, rather than you projecting, oh, it's this person or it's this person, right? It allows your intuition to show you who is actually your guide. When is that? So it's on the new moon. So our dates yet, I haven't got clear on that yet. But if you join the full moon ceremony now, you get access to the full moon ceremony we just did, which was freaking next level powerful. I thought the last one was next level powerful, but this, like, oh my goodness, like, look at that. Yeah, it's, those of you who were in there, we're all just like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, so yes, so if you join the full moon ceremony now, you get access to that we just did. You can listen to it. You'll get all the activations. It's super next level powerful. There's dragons. There's all sorts of things in there. And yeah, talk about birthing this next 18 months. Big. Okay. If you really want to consciously take charge of the next 18 months of your life, not what's going on in the world, I highly encourage you to get on in there and listen to it. Okay. Now, if you join there, like now, you will obviously get access to the new moon solar eclipse ceremony as well. Okay, so yeah, you get both. All right, so no more distractions. I'm revealing the identity of the star being that gave me the world prediction back in January, who pulled me out of the float and gave me that prediction that 99% of the stuff has come true. Okay. Wow, new moon is on the solstice. Oh yeah, that's what we realized too. It was like someone said the 21st. I forgot about that. The 21st, and yeah, it's solstice. So it's gonna be next level. We're seeing this one was powerful. I'm like, and the one before was powerful. Solstice and lunar solar eclipse and birthing the next 18 months, about everything I just said on this live stream. You want to rewatch the live stream if you just joined live, because it's all the world prediction stuff. Kind of need to listen to the whole thing. Okay. So the being that came through, now I've been nervous to share this, and this particular being actually came through for the first time for me in May 2019, and it was unexpected. It came through when reconfiguring energetic codes, one of my high level activation, like high frequency activation courses that I only run intuitively when it's called. We just ran it recently, and that's the third time we've run it. That originally streamed through me in May 2019. Now, that was only a 2-week immersion, but then it was like, oh no, there's a third week and there's a bonus, right? And the actual bonus, that's when the being came through for me. The first time I ever made connection with this being and had connected with this being. Now, when I first met this being, I bawled my eyes out crying. Why? Because for me, I didn't realize at that moment in time how much of a strong guide they would be. They're not around all the time. He only comes when calls, and like I've been saying a little while now, like since the January prediction, I'm like waiting. I'm like, I don't know, guys. People are like, what's going on in the world stuff? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like waiting for that being to come back. There's nothing yet. There's just been nothing and nothing. Anyways, come through tonight. It's in the full moon ceremony as well. But that being back then, I bawled my eyes out crying when I first connected, because I have a gift for holding a high level of darkness that I'm able to transform to the light. It is just part of my gift. I can hold a massive amount of space for people, for humanity, for the darkest of darkest of darkest of darkest of darkest stuff. Like, it is just a gift that I have. Any one of you who has worked with me understands what I'm talking about and how I shift you and shift everything you're holding just by being present with you. Yeah? Anyone who's been in my presence knows how much I bring up stuff in you, and I trigger you, and I bring up all your subconscious stuff. Where you going, mate? Because that computer's there. It is a gift that I have, and not just with humanity and people on the planet, but I have a lot of beings from the other side come to me that people hate on and people rip into and people think are bad and all this stuff, and they are set free by my presence. because I don't know, that's just my gift. I don't know, I'm owning that, okay? So there's a thing on the planet, right? And I also want to talk about on this live stream why we reconnect our reptilian brain in the Hermes healing activation. So as you guys know, like if you don't have, it's a free activation that I've given you guys. If you don't have it, please send me a message. I can give it to you. I released it in, I think it was like February or March or something, with the preparation guide for humanity collapsing and everything going on. Maybe I better share that again. It's something that Lucas and I co-wrote, and I released free meditations in that. That it's a 30-page PDF document. If you haven't got it, like I said, send me a message, but I think I'll share it after this live stream. And so the Hermes healing activation is a free part of that. And the Hermes healing activation actually reconnects the reptilian brain. Now, I had a question and someone said, can you speak about it on live stream? Or I said I'd speak about it because there's a lot involved with it. In a sense of like why we even do that, right? Because people think the reptilian brain is bad and, you know, and all this sort of thing. And, you know, when the Hermes healing activation came through, like it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to like repair the like reptilian brain. Like when I channeled through, that's just what came out, right? Now, I was like, oh, that's interesting, but that makes total sense to me. Yeah, because the reptilian brain is old. Now it's interesting, at the start of this live stream, I just looked and I was like, how long ago did the continents shift? 335 million years ago, it began to break apart. And it began, so it assembled from earlier continental units approximately 335 million years ago, and it began to break apart 175 million years ago. Now, probably about 2 years ago, I had the dawning realization. I posted about it and I was like, oh, is the dinosaur era our reptilian brain? Is the dinosaur era our reptilian brain, in a sense of like, if consciousness is becoming conscious of itself and we are an embodiment of consciousness and an embodiment of the planet, then the dinosaur era was a projection of our reptilian brain. Now over the years, now we're here at this projection of consciousness. Hey Lisa. Right? So when we look at that, yeah, the reptilian brain. Now, there's some stories. I'm going to call them stories, not theories. There's some stories out there that people have said that there's a certain group of beings that, I don't know if they've said this actually, that they disconnected the reptilian brain. I don't know, that they actually didn't say that. Well, maybe someone said it on the planet before, I don't know. Right? But that was the message that I got when the Hermes healing activation streamed through me. Now, if we look at the basis of Hermetic law, it's the law of reality, of what our 3D construct is made up of. Now, when we look at that, and we look at somewhere along the lines, and this is saying the 1600s again. So remember, just before on live stream, I said the 1600s was when lockdown began. Okay? People think lockdown began a couple of weeks ago. No, lockdown began in 1600s, in the 16th century. Okay? Interesting, right? Now, when we look at that, and who knows where along the lines the reptilian brain got disconnected, but when we look at consciousness projecting itself as reptiles, as whatever, and now it's a projection of where we're at today, if we look at that space and the reptilian brain, yeah, interestingly, it was when America was colonized. funny about this. How interesting, right? Thanks for sharing that, Dale. Interestingly, it was when America was colonized. Interestingly, that the mid-1600s was when the peak of the witch hunts were. Interestingly, is when America was colonized. Thank you so much for that information. Interestingly, that the peak of the witch hunts were there. So before then, people were like connected to their intuition, flowing, at peace. Maybe, I don't know. There's been wars for years, but whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like people like us were, okay, the Native American Indians, for example, right? The 1600s was when America was colonized. So Dell says 1606, Jamestown, Virginia, and the Virginia Trading Company. So interesting. So my being guide that I'll introduce in a moment had said lockdown actually began in the 16th century. Now the reptilian brain, right? Let's go back to that. Now, someone messaged me probably about 6 weeks ago and said, oh, and this resonated with me to an extent. And they said, I just heard someone talking about blah, blah, blah. Something along the lines of, I don't remember exact words right this second, but it was like somewhere along the lines back whenever someone or a group of beings or someone had disconnected and changed the dimensions of reality or cut some sort of connection or something and flipped reality on its earth, flipped the earth on its head or flipped things upside down or something like that, right? And the moon is actually like, I don't know, a fake thing, or there's something like that. Like it's not fake, it's something, there was something about it being flipped or, you know, and recently they've realized that it was the wrong thing to do to Earth. It was the wrong thing to do to humanity. It was the wrong thing. And so it's almost like that's why all this chaos is happening, because it's putting it back the right way. Now, that's going to take a bit of time. Now, I don't know what the truth is in that, right? But the reason I'm sharing it is because it was interesting to me, because for me, I've always, so weird, but like since my spiritual awakening, I thought the North was actually in the South. Right? So I'm in the Southern Hemisphere, so I thought the South was actually the North. Like just energetically, you know, of course the sun rises there and, you know, I know if I'm looking on a compass or I'm driving on a map, that's North. But just energetically, I keep like I'm like, oh, that's right, North is this way. Like, you know, like it's always been that for me for a long time. And so when this person told me that, I was like, this is so interesting. Okay. So Leanne said, isn't that when they redid the legal system too? Yeah, so I think it was 1658 or 1688 was when the legal bill or something came in. Like that was when it is, I can't remember the exact dates, but that was like the peak of the witch hunts. And that's when all the legal stuff, like that was when it was cemented. Yes. Yep. So Dell says women were bought to be married to the men out there. And yes, any free-minded woman was called a witch. Yes. Yes, it was like this, gotta like control them, and if you were crying or grieving, you get locked up into the psych ward because you're full of grief, for goodness sake, because your village just got burnt down by you freaking maniacs. Whatever, I don't know. So why do we reconnect the reptilian brain? If in all that disconnection and all the discord and they're needing to control, right? If you really think about the reptilian brain, it is the source of our survival instinct. It is a very, very powerful, I think I need the fire. It is a very, very powerful space to be in. And the dragon up the top there. Can you see him sitting there? That's better. The reptilian brain is our survival instinct. Now, if our survival instinct is switched off or constantly on, right? If it's constantly on, we're in flight or fight mode, we're anxious, we're all these things. That's what it is, yeah? We're all those things. Now, reconnecting the reptilian brain reconnects your internal power. And so you're not relying on an external power source or an external space to survive. Huge, right? So it's easier to control people when the reptilian brain is disconnected, and I say disconnected when it's constantly switched on, because we're in flight or fight, fear mode. People are easier to control when they're in fear. Why? Because they're not grounded. They're looking for help. They're like, oh, I can help you. Okay, listen to them. Okay, they're the ones. And then we connect. They've got the answers. Pedestal stuff even, right? So the reason we reconnect the reptilian brain is so we reconnect our internal power. So it's not necessarily, I've been having lots of celery juice. Check my story. It's not necessarily disconnect and reconnect. It's more switch on, switch off. Yeah? When your reptilian brain is switched off, which is deeply connected, it's survival instincts, it's the flight or fight, I always get them mixed up, but it's your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system, but I always get mixed up which one is when switched on and switched off, but that's what it is, your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Me and my pronunciation on live streams, I don't know what this is that, but anyway. So when we switch off, meaning we reconnect the truth of our reptilian brain, yeah? So interesting, the dragon. I was like, I need the dragon. The dragon. And the dragons came through so strongly in this full moon ceremony that we just came out of, that you can still join and receive the freaking next level activations, right? Because when we reconnect to the truth of our reptilian brain and actually what that represents to us, it is our internal power. Dragons are all about our power. They're about our magic. They're about the internal source of our being. They're very grounded. They're very majestic. They're huge. They're powerful. They're deeply heart-centered beings. Just like witches, they were portrayed in a not heart-centered way. Yeah? The dragon caught my eye when I first saw you online. It's a dragon. Yeah, it's a dragon. Okay. The crown, yes. Sarah said, it's like I could feel this energy coming up just before Christmas. Yes, seen a thing on the Scottish witch hunts, was so triggered by it, deep dark energy. Yes. Yeah, there was a big thing going around like October, November, December about some university over there or something's done research about how many women in how many towns, and it was like labeled on this map about the witch hunts and all the family connections to that and the lineages and everything. Like the university had been studying it, or a group of people from a university had been. So yeah, that went a little bit viral around then too. Yeah, it did surface them. Here we are 9 months later. Makes sense that so many people are taking their power back from the government at this time too. Yeah, and that's a direct projectional reflection about going inside and reconnecting within. Yeah, we're all reconnecting within. The reptilian brain is finally at peace in a way, right? Because we're all reconnecting in, and the Hermes healing activation does that specifically. Yeah. Reconnect the reptilian brain, i.e. reconnect your power. Yeah. Tyler, oh, thank you. I love you. Leanne says, yeah, makes complete sense. Can't think critically while in fear. Yes. We're not judgmental. We're in unity. We are in unity when we're not in fear. We're at peace. We're in trust. We're in our power. We feel safe. That's what it is. We feel safe. We're not scared. And in that safety is deep power. Where does power come from? Oh, imagine riding a dragon. And how the dragon reconnects to your body. Oh, reptilian brain, hello. So Dale says, I saw a report last week that NASA has released that there is a magnetic polar shift happening above the ocean. I think it was the Atlantic, but I must check. What is that ocean? Okay. What is that ocean? Oh my God, I'm going to be mind blown if that's what it is. Is it? Where's the Atlantic? Hang on, I'm bringing up a map. This is so important. Where's the Atlantic Ocean? Oh my God, it's not clear. Why isn't it clear? Show me the clear map, please. Here. South Atlantic Ocean. That's in the spot. That's the spot they showed me. I want to swear. On the January 2020 world prediction, that's what the being I'll introduce you to in a moment showed me. If you watch that live stream from January 2020, I'll share it after this live stream. Turkey, they showed me, it was like a big vision. It was like, and I had to get out of the float because all this information flowed through me and I had to write it down and dry my hands. And I'm like, oh my God. It was like Turkey dropped through the earth. I know I'm repeating myself, but Turkey dropped through the earth. Like literally, if you can imagine the continent Turkey dropping through the earth, well, it's not you know what I mean? That dropping into the earth, imagine the tidal wave from that, dropping into the earth, going underneath Africa and coming out in the Atlantic Ocean. That's what it is, the South Atlantic Ocean. Holy shit, like in between Africa, like underneath Africa and South America, like in that exact spot. Oh, can I make it bigger? Make you bigger? No, why are you making it bigger? Oh, where's the big map? Come on, I want to bring this. I want to show you. It's not going to let me make it bigger. Oh my God. Okay, let me see if I can bring it up. Okay. Share on the screen. Okay. Look. Okay. See? Oh, it's back to front for you guys. See where South America is? See where Africa is and Turkey where it would be? That's the south, where the writing is down the bottom. So where's my finger? Back to front. Where that writing is, that's where they showed me. So it was like drops through the earth. Oh, yes, drops underneath and comes out and rises there. That's what they showed me in the vision on the thing. And I'm like, what? So I don't know if it's like going to drop through or not. Because I was like, if it drops through, well, that's a big continent shift, right? But then I was like, oh, maybe it's a vortex of energy or something. Now, Turkey and Islam and stuff. Remember I spoke about this a while ago. Maybe I spoke about it on that live stream. I don't remember now. But Turkey and Islam are like the first religions in the world. But again, truth, lapis lazuli, the crystalline energy is from Afghanistan, Turkey, all that area. And it's realization of the truth. Now, it would be interesting to see what happens in 2022 if the planets, if the continents do start shifting then. I don't know, man. What have I just been saying on this live stream? Oh my God, this is what's coming through, right? Be prepared, huh? On this live stream, I've just been saying, imagine if it's the earth shaking up and all the rights and stuff of the people feeling the energy, and it takes that long for the earth to start actually moving. Oh my God. Kind of making sense. It's kind of making a bucket load of sense, right? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Dell says, I saw a report last week that NASA has released there is a magnetic polar shift happening above the ocean. I think it was the Atlantic, but I must check. That's the spot. Dell says, oh my gosh, the crown and crowning. Yeah. Hey, Kim. Sarah says that's what they don't want. They like to keep the division going. Yes. Yeah, that's right. The unity. Fuck, I know is what I wanted to say. Sarah says, I remember you saying that. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Still recording. Okay. Connection available. All right. It just dropped out, guys. I'm going to give it a minute. I'm going to give it a minute because I want to say this live. It's so interesting. This just dropped out, right? I'm like, what? It's recording? No, I need to say this live. What interesting timing of me actually saying that. All right, I'm going to wait till you guys comment. And yeah, I'm saying this live. I'm not going to do that on a recording. This needs to be live. It's so interesting that just dropped out at that time. Am I meant to introduce this being? Yeah, I feel like I am. because I've been waiting for this being to come back, right? For months, I've been like, everyone's like, what's happening to the world stuff? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like waiting for this being to come back because, yeah, that's the one that came through. So like I said, this being that came through was the first time in May 2019. I hold a lot of space for this darkness. You thought so too, I know. Full on, right? Okay, as long as you guys are here too. I need to say this live. So, May 2019, and then obviously came through in January, pulled me under float, and has come back at this full moon ceremony. Interesting timings too, because I've been curious the past few weeks, and I felt a bit frustrated because I was like, well, you know, like what's going on, you know, and yeah, interesting timing on the lunar eclipse. So interesting. Okay, weird you dropped out when I have to leave and answer the door. Obviously, I needed to hear this. Yeah, I haven't said it yet. Yeah, I should be back now. Yeah, I thought it was so interesting. It's never dropped out here. It's never dropped out in this space I've been in since I've been here. I'm nervous to share because a lot of people that are hating on powers to be on this planet right now, and think really bad of them. And what I really want to say is that in every culture, in every race, in every human being, even the like most purest of light workers, there is good and bad people in every culture, in every race, in every piece of being. Like there's dark and light within every single person on the planet, and there is dark and light in every single race, in every single galaxy, in every single dimension. Like it's a thing. It's not like, oh, they're all good and oh, they're all bad. Like, no, because we are here. Okay. Now, this being, drum roll, are you ready? I've been dragging it out. This being is a draconian being. This star being that first came to me in May 2019 and gave me the January prediction 2020 and has come tonight and shared what I have on this live stream and in our powerful full moon ceremony is a draconian being. Now, when this being first came to me in May, like I said, I was just bawling my eyes out crying. And it was like I set him free. I didn't realize at the time he was going to be a being coming and sharing these sorts of messages with me. Now, the reason that I started crying was because people have so much hate for the draconian beings. Like they... You know, like I said, a lot of people think that a lot of people that are controlling the world at the moment are draconian, and hey, maybe they are. And maybe they're the bad draconians or bad reptilians. But the truth is we are all reptilian. The truth is we are all draconian. We are all Palladian. We are all Arcturian. We are all of it. And if you think you are not, there's the illusion. And you are dissipating your power and your energy and your connection to source when you think you are separate to any of it. Chihuahuas in my lap, if you can hear that. So it's the draconian being that has been giving me these predictions, that has been coming through. There. It's not so bad, is it? It's not so bad. All right. I just got the message for you to watch the old film Enemy Mine. His name is Drac. Amazing film, and also Star Trek Discovery. You'll know why. Still frozen for you. Might need to quit out of it and come back in, Laurel. So... yeah, not so bad. So now I'm going to share what other world prediction messages that was the prompting for me to get on this live stream tonight, because there's more messages that he wanted to share about the world prediction stuff. So yes, what I've already shared on this live stream about what is it? the 18-month cycle, the crowning, the solar eclipse is the crowning, another 18 months of this intense energy until 2022. Now, instead of using the word intense, just like in the full moon ceremony, we uncovered this. When we are crowning and we're birthing a new reality and it's crazy and it's riots and it's all the bad stuff, it's like, oh my God, like it's a wake up to realities. No person's spiritual awakening was like blessed and amazing until reality hit and was like, oh my God, what the hell? For like ages. Whose spiritual awakening was like that? Right? And right now, that's what's happening on the planet. Yeah. So this crowning and birthing is going to, instead of using the word intense, let's use the word expansion. As I keep saying, manifestation energy is high. Focus is high. If we are focusing that it's intense and it's bad and it's hard, that's what we're going to experience. If we instead change those words to, instead of it being intense, right? If you can imagine a woman giving birth, it's intense because what are we doing? We're expanding. Not intense and painful, which it could be if we're using those words, but this is where we take back our power and we change the words into expansion and liberating, orgasmic even, because it can be if we choose it to be. This is where our power in creating the next 18 months of our life comes in. I posted earlier today that right now, we are like today, and this, what I posted today, that came from Pam Gregory, the astrologer. She said there's some astrological lineup. I don't know the details because I never remember the technical stuff today that sets the tone for the next 18 months. Okay. So is it intense and painful and bad for you? Or is it expansive and birthing a new reality to take you to the next level? And oh my God, it's so liberating. Which reality are you choosing to create and set the tone for yourself for the next 18 months? Now, as you choose, so too does the planet feel your energy. Yeah? Because when we reconnect the reptilian brain, when we allow ourselves to switch off the flight or fight, and even though there's all that fear and anxiety and people are scared on the planet right now, if we can be the powerhouse and the light worker and step up into our power and our energy and really enable ourselves to embody that safety and next level power and direct grounded sense of who we are, then you are preparing yourself to be able to lead others, especially when it comes to January, February, March 2022, which is what the being said to me. Draconian being just told me before on this live stream that that's going to be really intense. Yeah, that's going to be like a lot of people are going to hit reality. Okay, it's an 18-month birthing cycle. Okay, if you missed the start of the live stream, please watch it because that came through about all that. Okay. So the other pieces about that, sorry, I'm just going to get Adaya to sort out the cat. She's back on heat. She must be happy again in this environment. Funny enough about that. So interesting. Shana says, love it, expansion. Yes, it's so expansion. Like intense or expansion, which one are you choosing? And thus creating the next 18 months of your life. Now, the other messages that this being wants to share about the world prediction, okay, coming through, is that originally in January, like I said, it's like until this will go on until August, but I feel like August kind of hits a point of no return. So at the moment, there is a chance for things to go back to normality. At August, it is a point of no return. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be good or bad or anything like that, but what it's actually going to be is like almost, I'm hearing the end of an era, but a whole new beginning starts. So I'm curious what astrological lineup is in August as well. So I know, and just logically, I know a lot of people have said October is going to be another wave of lockdown. Apparently it's going to be more intense, more expansifying, should I say. Who really knows? I don't know that stuff. But so in March next year, it's going to be like a wave. So in March next year, it's going to be like a wave, but a wave, I just got more like a collective wave. So it could be a tidal wave, but I don't feel like that's what it is. It'll be like a wave of like people starting to come up for air or starting to take a breath, or maybe it's going to be like more like, it would be like the next wave. Okay, now if we think about that, okay, if we really think about March next year, so if this started in February this year, that's 12 months, yeah, of since really when this stuff started. So I think lockdown really started in March, did it not? I think it was March or February. It was February, March this year, yeah, around the world. And so if we look at February to February, that's 12 months. And then March, well, that's 13 months, right? Now, I always say there's the 18-month healing cycle, but at 6 months, it like hits reality again. And then at 9 to 10 months, it'll hit reality again. And then at 18 months, it'll birth, like it hits reality again. Okay, so that's why in January, February, March 2022, it's like it's going to hit reality again, and people are actually going to start to wake up and actually have the balls to face reality and be conscious of actually what's going on, right? It's when the real awakening is going to happen. Okay, at the moment, it's still just busting through reality. Okay, so in March next year, it's going to be like a wave, like a deep wave, but I feel like that's where we're almost going to go. It's like if we can imagine a wave coming up and then taking us deeper, like as it retracts sort of thing, it's going to like draw back. That's the kind of sense. Okay, now what does that mean for like physicality and stuff? I'm not quite sure yet. Okay, so I just heard the message that so I'm getting answers. So lockdown's going to become intensified. We're not using those words. What's with these labels, right? And maybe that means that lockdown's going to be like next level. So apparently October this year, just from a logical, people told me that October this year, the second wave of lockdown's coming and it's going to be worse. I don't know. I haven't heard anything like that. But my being is saying, the star being is saying March next year is when it's going to be intensified. Or is that when it's going to finish? I don't know. Maybe it will get more intense. Lana says yes. Expansion, yes. 13 moons in a year. There is, isn't there? How interesting. Samantha said yes. Woke up to heavy head this morning. Meditated and felt like my head was opening up. I feel excitement to the core, but still not sure what I'm going to be doing. I'm in the UK. Yes. Yeah. A lot of people have had that heavy head, a lot of energy shifting around their head. Dreams, like crowding. Yeah, kind of moving down to the third eye stuff. So, okay, so what else? Is there anything else? So it's interesting. So what I'm seeing about that March next year, and that's, what are we now, June? So June, July, so what do we start of June? So June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. It's 9 to 10 months, the birthing of this. Because what I'm seeing is we're still on March. So what they're showing me, and this is like a little bit weird or something, I don't know, I'll just tell you what. So I'm seeing car parks. Like I'm seeing car parks, and I'm seeing, like like shopping center car parks. I'm seeing shopping trolleys. Like I'm seeing, all that sort of stuff, but it's almost like deserted, like almost like abandoned sort of thing. Who knows what that means? Maybe that's a symbol for food stuff coming in then. I'm nervous really sharing this, guys, but maybe I'm sharing this because of what the reality is about supermarkets and stuff right now, and what I saw the Ice Age farmer share something about countries are like hoarding their own foods and stuff. And if we think about that's happening now, we think about the 9-10 month cycle. So in March next year, lockdown's going to intensify, the words I heard. And so then I'm seeing the shopping trolleys and the car parks kind of almost abandoned. So does that mean that the food
you know how they were going to restrict food. So right now there's all these rules and stuff when you go into the supermarket, please use sanitizer. Like they're training us, like they're prepping us, right, in a way. You know, like who really knows, but you know, there's a thing, and I thought it would have happened already. Okay, I thought this is what was going to happen in this lockdown, that you, unless you have the big V word, you know, or a thing that you insert into your skin, you know, guys, what I'm talking about, then you can't go into certain shops, then you can't do this and you can't do that. Now already there's, you know, like the face recognition and, you know, the staying 1.5 meters apart, so that, and that intuitively dropped in the other day, the week when I was driving, that the satellites need the 1.5 meter distance to get facial recognition, a bit like your phone, you know how you got to move it so it gets the right angle to unlock it, that sort of thing. And so with my draconian being saying that March next year it's going to intensify, and the shopping trolleys and the car parks abandoned and the supermarkets and stuff, like I feel like that's a meaning. Like, yeah, maybe I saw you say, Leanne, breakdown of corporations, like maybe that is, like, yes, maybe, but the intuitive sense that I'm getting is that that's when, and maybe I'm wrong, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but the intuitive sense of me interpreting the symbols and images that I get and the way I receive my intuition is that that's when we will be, lockdown's going to intensify, that you won't be able to enter shops and stuff and you won't be able to buy food and stuff unless you have this and this. Now, I hope that I am wrong, okay? However, like I said, these past few months, I thought that was already happening. Like I thought that was already going to be a thing. Like I've been waiting for it. I'm like, quick, let's go buy this food before we can't. Like that's how I've been. And then I started to relax and I was like, oh, okay, it's not happening yet. Why did I even think, like I wasn't, oh, it's not happening yet. It was like, why did I think that? Why was I being like that? And for me, I do things before it happens, like get in a car before lockdown happens, you know? So with my draconian being then saying to me that, that's my interpretation of that. So we've got 9 to 10 months to prepare food, seeds, grow your own food, whatever. I'm just saying, okay? I've been waiting for this, okay? Okay, so Christine says, yeah, I had a feeling that food will be next. Yes, so not long ago I shared the Ice Age farmer, and I shared, like I found him randomly on YouTube, and I think I did share it publicly. Oh, I think it was about the water. Anyway, I shared something, and anyway, because I clicked on one of his videos, every time I log into YouTube, then it comes up with, you know, just his latest thing. I haven't watched them, but the titles are interesting. And one of them was about food. I think I did watch it actually, but I didn't share it. I can't remember. But it was about countries starting to hoard, like Russia's hoarding their wheat, and like there's no trade and stuff. And maybe that's changed in the past couple of weeks, but that's what's currently going on the planet. There was all these like, what are they called? Piggeries? Or something, I don't know what the proper name is, like where they breed pigs for slaughter or any animals like that. They were not taking their meat anymore, so they had to kill all the animals, and were basically going to waste. Now, people don't like the fact that there is, say, piggeries, I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm going to use it, piggeries that we even use for meat in the supermarkets and whatever you want to do, call it. But the reality is that's the reality, okay? Even though it's not nice and all that jazz, that is a reality. But for me, it's a worse reality that those corporations are now not taking the piggeries' meat and the piggeries' animals, and so they're slaughtering them for no reason, whereas they were for a reason to feed people in a way. Like, do you know what I mean? Even though I know it's bad and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was interesting that they're even doing that and then opening up other corporation ones that are only that, or they're opening up I don't know if it's plant-based ones or something, but it was like you could only buy their food. And I feel like the supermarket staff, that vision is when that's going to kind of come into effect. Now, I really hope that I'm wrong, okay? But this is my intuitive sense about everything that's been going on, and I'm usually pretty spot on in my intuitive senses and predictions and all that sort of thing. So to not send everybody in fear and all of that, then, you know, it's really like, okay, how can we prepare for that? Well, yes, grow your own food and all that sort of jazz. But at the end of the day, if our reptilian brain has been switched off, disconnected by whoever in the past and in the 1600s and everything I've shared on this live stream already, if that is a thing, and they switched that off to control us and said, here, you need to eat this meat, right? Or you need to eat this sort of food, right? Like if that's a thing, if we were to switch back on and reconnect to our deepest, most powerful self, there is things like raw food. There is things like breatharians. There is things like we don't need food. Like, do you see the star beings sitting down and like having a meal and stuff? Like, no, they don't eat. Why? Because they get food elsewhere. They absorb air or however their systems work. We have the capacity for that. And if what I've said on this live stream is true, in the sense that the reptiles, the dinosaur era was a projection of our being, it was a projection of consciousness at that state in growth in time, and we're continually evolving, yeah, and growing and expanding, and look at where we are today in the modern technology to age today. If we are continually growing and evolving and everything like that, this, then if the food stuff is a thing, we need not fear. Because we are evolutionizing, oh my God, evolutionarizing to a higher vibration. We're ascending and we don't need the low density foods. Yeah. Now that might be contradictory to things that I've said in the past when I've gone through a healing journey around eating meat, and I've done that. Definitely I needed to rebuild my blood after I gave birth to my daughter, and I didn't do that. So 10 years later, I've hurt my body, right? Hurt my blood, all of that jazz. I rebuilt it. And right now I'm on a raw food detox, enema, fasting, cleanse, 21-day detox to cleanse my system, to start the lifestyle of raw vegan and not go back to eating crap or processed food. Now, as we ascend and go higher and hold a higher vibration, we don't need food. Like, we don't need to eat, right? Of course we eat bits and pieces and stuff, but we don't need to. It's a programming that humanity has been infiltrated with, because part of the control here, you need to eat this, stay dense, we don't want you to wake up, just eat this so you stay dense. And hang on a sec, we're going to ladle it with chemicals as well. Okay, so this thing, you know, when I say intense or expansion, food being taken away is intense or expansion. Might be hard, challenging, whatever, but hey, you've got 9 to 10 months to prepare. How about that? How about that? Okay. Everyone growing our own. Yes. Oh, I think I read that one. Okay. So Dell says, I read this morning in England, you will be fined for not wearing a mask on public transport. I know, what's with the mask? So interesting, because I'm like, AI recognition, but mask, but what's in the masks that we're breathing in? Anyway, paleo diet is based on a diet before farming began. So interesting. Yeah, when I think of paleo, I think of Avatar, when they sacrifice an animal the way they sacrifice an animal, and they don't do it very often, but they do it. That's what I think. It was so interesting what I read before about that word, Paleozoic and early Mesozoic eras. Yeah. So Pangaea was a supercontinent that existed during the late Paleozoic era. So interesting, right? Paleozoic, like long time ago. I feel that too. Water also, yes, can live off water. Now, the water thing, yeah, it might get to water shortage too. However, if we are born of the water, if we are born in a womb, if our blood is the same pH as the ocean pH, there is something in that. And I'm not saying drink seawater, but I'm saying there's something in that. I'm saying that there are so many minerals, and you could live off seaweed and thrive. Like, seaweed is like a miracle food. Yeah, like there is something in the ocean and where we've evolved come from. Where did we come before the ocean? I don't know. But there's a reason that our blood pH is the same pH as the ocean water. Okay, so don't freak out about water. A spiritual teacher said about 8 to 10 years ago that they, corporations, banks, were buying up all the farmland in the world. Yes, I heard that, including all the freight ships. And there was a legal document passed worldwide that we would not be allowed to trade veg food with our neighbors for total control of food distribution. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that's what's happening now. So, yeah. So we'll see. Okay. With the mask, they can tell who isn't willing to conform. Ah, that's right. Got it. So interesting. So interesting. Sarah says, we are starving ourselves of oxygen. I refuse to wear a mask. Our cells need oxygen. Oxygen is powerful. Even powerful oxidizers, even eats metal. Yes. Yeah, that's so interesting. I did hear that somewhere. People who are willing and willing. Not willing to conform. Yes, so what are they going to do about the not willing people? This is interesting, right? Yogis live off sunlight and a few seeds. Yes, that one. So Dal says, yes, I had seaweed come through in the moon ceremony. Yeah. Did you guys see the kelp on my story the other day? I'm going to reshare it, right? Because it was so like, it was so thick and huge and like massive rubber. I'm like, man, imagine being in the ocean with these. Like they were so like, I was like, oh my God, can you eat this stuff? Because it feels like a waste just being up here on the beach. Like, oh my God, it was like amazing. Like the energy of it and just, it was next level. I'll put it on my ceremony. I'll put it on my story after this. So Leanne says they also did this as a conditioning to prisoners, same as the announcement to social distance while shopping. It reminds me of a Nazi camp. Yeah, what's going on in the world is a worldwide Nazi camp. It is. So it's kind of really interesting that when I first got to Lucas's, one of the first movies we watched together was Schindler's List. Have you seen that? Like, it was intense for me, but that's the stuff that's going on now. It is literally the stuff that's going on now. Our birth certificates are our, instead of like shipping the people everywhere, they just ship the birth certificates everywhere. Like, so people can stay and live in this like Truman Show, basically. And yeah, it's pretty intense and a bit mind expanding. Is it mind expanding? Giant kelp, yes, it was, oh my God, it was amazing. Sarah says, I recently got blood tests, haven't ate red meat in a very, very long time. My diet is mainly lentils, soy, tomatoes. My iron levels are whopping. Yes, awesome. No supplements, were told it's higher than most meat eaters. Yes, awesome, awesome. So good to hear. Sarah says, schools also train kids with social distancing, masks not touching, mine's not going back. Okay, awesome. I'm so glad they're not going back. Yeah, so interesting. Are ants connected to the crown? Yes. So ants for me, and this is not something I've read in a animal book. This is what's come through intuitively for me about ants is because I started noticing this pattern in my old house in Queensland over the time when all these ants were in my house, like in my kitchen, in my bathroom, in my bedroom. I'm like, what's with these ants, man? And like when I was tuning into what their meaning was, it was like ants, because you know how they make trails and stuff. When ants come in or ants are in your awareness, neural pathways are changing. Yeah. So ants are a sign that your neural pathways are changing. When we have a spiritual awakening or we have a breakthrough or we're shifting to the next level or anything like that, ants around in your reality or really noticeable in whatever way, shape or form, that's like your confirmation that your brain neural pathways are changing, that your reality is changing and shifting. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah, ants definitely connected to crown chakra and crown chakra is connected to the brain. Yeah. All right, so is there any other messages that want to come through from my being? Okay, so I'm hearing be prepared. Yeah. Okay, and so September, so I'm hearing that September will give you a taste of what's to come is what I'm hearing. But September, it's like clarity will come about what's to come, breathe the March stuff. Oh, covered in goosebumps. Oh my goodness, I'm still covered in goosebumps. Okay, Tamsin says, so interesting about ants. Yes. Sarah says, wow, ants all over the bathroom last night. Yes, yes. Ants have been in lately. Yes. Sarah says, I just seen an update from what's expected in our schools in August in Scotland, and I'm not sure they're going back to social distancing and staff to wear PPE. That's too scary for children. I'm not sure what's PPE. Dale says, I've had ants nest in both this house and my last place for around 5 years. Big changes, big reality changes, yeah. So yeah, notice how many and how much for how long and how bigger changes are coming. So yeah, so September will be clarity around what's to come for March. Okay, so it's kind of interesting because originally got the message that August will be the end of current stuff. So January, I was like, well, when's this going to end? And he said August, but actually 2022 is when the propaganda won't be able to hold the truth down any longer. And so then I feel like, so August will be like a shift into kind of like, people were like, oh, it's normal again. But then September, it's like something's going to come in the world stuff that will give us a taste of what's to come in March when it really intensifies, when it really expands. Okay, so that's September. Oh, protective gear. Yeah, well, the kids are gonna freak, man. Oh my goodness, these poor rainbow and crystal children and star children that are coming through. But most of them aren't schooled. They don't go to school, actually. Anyway, all kids are special. And no judgment of those who send your children to school. I trust where you're being called, and I trust that your children are fully in alignment with their purpose with you as well. So, okay, so any other messages? Okay, so December this year will also be another like lift. It will be a lift in energy like 2018. So November, December, January was quite heavy. December 2018 was quite heavy for a lot of people. Grim Reaper, which came through, that sort of thing. But there was a lot of high frequency energy coming through at that point as well. Like that was when Atlantis was rising, and that really everyone could feel that. Like it was like fluttering frequency, divine crystalline energy like Atlantis. Like everyone could feel it, right? Even though it was like lots of chaos and distraught in a lot of people's personal lives in December 2018. So that my Draconian star being just said that this coming December, so between Christmas and New Year, will be another kind of wave of that high frequency energy. So there might be some other changes coming before then, just like almost a repeat energy of that. But I feel like it's more of a high frequency energy. So it'll be like a lot of people will feel like it's like a relief in the energy. Of what's been quite intense lately on the planet. It'll be like a breather, right? It's like a high influx. So put that in your diary. Between December and January, so Christmas and New Year, it'll be like a portal. It's almost like a portal's opening or something is what I'm being shown. It's like this, almost like a window of like, seeing not golden light as in golden light. It literally looks like fire color golden, with specks of blue through it coming in, which is kind of those colors, the dragon and the fire. But that's like, yeah, come in. Does he have a name? Yeah, I don't know. So I'm hearing it, but I can't pronounce it. So I get asked a question and I get an answer. I can't pronounce it. I can hear it, and it's like almost like okay, I can kind of spell it then if it was going to have so it's like NGON, like CITE or CIK. E. So if that's like the sound, there's a sound, it's like a nongakite or something, however you pronounce that, nongakite or something. I need to tune into that. Yeah, I need more connection time. I only have connection time with this being before the full moon ceremony. I don't know that. There's all this energy coming through now. I'm trying to pronounce the name. Yeah, like no. I wouldn't be surprised if I start doing freaking light language or something soon because I can feel it. I'm like, no, it's wanting to come out. Okay. What's the next wave of children coming through that you intuitively feel? My daughter's due at the end of August. I feel like there's a lot of star children coming through. So not rainbow children, not crystal children, but star children. So like high frequency star being children. Really do feel that. So Dale says, how do we change all of this, fight against it to create the golden age of Aquarius? Okay, so I just heard like reconnect to your inner self, but it was like this energy coming into the solar plexus and like beaming up. And I could have said that coming within, coming within or something, like connecting within. Yeah, how do we change all of this, fight against to create the golden age? Like the first thing that came through when I read that was, it's already happening. Like it's already unfolding. It's already happening. Like it's already, like, do you know what I mean? Like all our duty is to follow our intuition with what we're being called to do. And maybe that's stepping up in the world. Maybe that's going inside. Maybe that's doing something to make change in the world. Maybe it's not. Like all we do is go inside and tune into our intuition. Yeah. It's the reconnecting into the solar plexus, which is about taking our power back ultimately, which is, you know, ultimately where this is, what this is about, where the light is. Yeah. All right. I'll just see if there's anything else. So we've got September, we've got March next year. So if you guys are just joining, please rewatch the live stream. Some big information in this one. So March next year, September, we're going to get a taste of March. December, there's a bit of a lift, bit of a reprieve in the energy. But I'm hearing it won't be like that for everyone. So it's like a cube of energy. It's interesting, the cuboid energy is coming into the planet at the moment as well. Okay, what else is there? Okay, so July to August next year. No, July, August 2022. Or is it next year? I said July, August, and I said next year, and then I saw 2022. I just saw a lot of volcanoes erupting. So, that's kind of when I said before earlier on this live stream that all this shaking energetic energy is making the rights and stuff because everybody's feeling the energies. And I said, perhaps this is the start of the continent shifts because this is the earth underneath shifting and birthing. So the July to August 2022, a lot of volcanoes and stuff. So maybe stay away from places like that around that time. Maybe not. I'm so nervous doing these predictions, guys. I really am. Because I'm like, who am I to tell people what to do and plan and travel in the world and don't go off what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Write these things down, but just tune into them before you book something or before, like, as we're leading up to them. Because, again, nothing's set in stone. Things might change, but there's also a divine plan or something. I don't know. So, July to August 2022, a lot of volcanoes erupting. But it does feel like a lot of shifting around then as well, which would take us into that kind of birthing phase, like leading into 3 years. So you know how I say there's an 18-month birthing cycle, but there's also 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. Well, by the end of 2022, it's moving into nearly 3 years since this level of lockdown began. Because my being, I just call it my being, how do you even pronounce that? It's like, I don't know. I need to connect more because these don't come through in the full moon ceremony. Maybe our own divine passion, Pel erupting. Thank you. I do get symbols for my intuition. So maybe this is what it is. You mentioned Portugal going through a lot of pain. Do you still feel that? Like now? Was that like for now, do you mean? Because I know I said that around Turkey and stuff. I know I said that. Do you mean from the 2020 prediction? So yeah, maybe it is the divine passion erupting, and maybe that's what it is. Because if we think about, so January, February, March, people are going to be starting to have the balls to face reality and the truth about reality, or that's when the propaganda can't hold it down anymore. People are going to feel quite lost. And then so when we think about a few months later, the passion erupting or the fire erupting in people in the world for change, actually making the changes now, the positive changes rather than fighting against each other. Maybe that's where the unity comes in, but maybe Earth shakes us up for that to happen, for people to actually go, oh, this is what we're supposed to do. Now, I do remember a long time ago, one of the predictions said that that's what has to happen for humanity to go, hey, we need to work together, not against each other. Maybe. Haley says, my daughter came home from school yesterday and told me her science teacher told them that USA sits over a volcanic line that is overdue for a massive eruption. You know, I've heard that a long time. Okay. So part of the long time ago continent shift eruption thing, like years ago, I randomly watched these documentaries on TV, right? Years ago, I saw this documentary that was speaking about how science says that earthquakes erupt. Earthquakes happen because they're on ley lines, or what are they called? Plates, whatever they are, the plates, right? And they bump up against each other, and that causes an earthquake. I've been talking for a long time because I've been on full moon ceremony, so my words are starting to blur. That's how earthquakes happen, right? And so we know where the earthquake lines are, and we can kind of predict them because we know where the plates are, yeah? Now, in following what you just said, Haley, that the science teacher told them that USA sits over a volcanic line that is overdue for a massive eruption. Now, on the documentary I watched years ago, they also said something along similar lines. I think it was back in the early 1900s or 1800s. Or 1500s. It was a long time ago that there was an earthquake in the middle of America, that there's no plates. So they're like saying, you know, well, how is science saying that it's that when actually this happened? I can't remember what state or whatever they were saying it went through specifically, but you know, and so it's like that. So it's kind of interesting you say that. And it's interesting that the pole shift, it's interesting that Dell had shared that NASA had released something that there's a magnetic pole shift or something over the Atlantic Ocean, which is what my draconian star being had said about that under the earth coming out in the Atlantic Ocean. And this is why I feel like 2022, maybe that's when this is going to actually physically shift. Kind of interesting, right? It's kind of interesting. That was back months ago. Yes, okay. So Portugal. So along Portugal and stuff, so I feel like it was Turkey and stuff, and I think maybe it was the Italy stuff. Italy got hit pretty hard with this lockdown stuff, right? Maybe it was that. I don't know to be honest. Okay, no, he just said Portugal's still coming. So yeah, so Portugal is still coming. In what way? Okay, so I don't know what it's like over there or anything, but he just said in a similar way to Italy. But there's more earth stuff, with Portugal. So I don't know. I know Portugal's on the edge, right? And so alongside that prediction from years ago in that documentary and everything, they were saying that if there is a big shift in the middle of the United States, right? Interesting volcanoes, interesting. I've been dreaming of volcanoes. A lot of people have been dreaming of stuff, and volcanoes have been in the ethers. If that were to happen, what they showed on the prediction, that it would shift so much that it rocks something. Oh, it's interesting because what they originally said on that one, sorry, I'm remembering now, is that the whole of so that would be the Western European shelf, would drop off into the ocean. It would create a massive tidal wave that would go all the way over to North America and wipe off the eastern side of the American like country, like the whole thing, which is just freaking mind-boggling ultimately. And you know, and that would create that. So I don't know. Maybe in 2022, maybe that's when we need to go bush. Maybe I'm 2 years ahead of myself. I don't want to laugh about it. I'm nervous to win this stuff, guys. Nervous. But after my January one, no. Creating New Earth land. Yes. New World. Yes. Yellowstone is actually super duper giant volcano. Oh, wow. Please, may I please know what your necklace is? I've been curious of it since the start of the live for some reason. Okay, me too. Makes sense. Okay. I got that from a very interesting documentary years ago. Ah, interesting. I'm still in Italy. I should move to Portugal, but I feel internal resistance. Trust that. Trust that. And I feel like we've still got time. It's a bit like the food thing that I shared earlier on this thing. All right, I'll just see if there's anything else and then I'll share this. It's interesting that I even felt called to wear this tonight. Okay. Okay, so February next year. Okay, so I think I said March. Did I say March next year is when that lockdown stuff? So I just got the message in February next year is when we really need to be like prepared by or like time to really kick into gear with organizing stuff or something. Like that's like the, I'm hearing last resort, but it's like the, I don't know. Anyway, we've got time, okay? All right, is there anything else? Is there anything else? I just heard, just remember the truth of who you are, and I'm gonna pull a card from the Dragon Fae just to finish off what we just said, and then I'm gonna explain what this is around my neck. The truth of who we are sets us free. Okay, and I just got the message that my being's gonna hang around again, like hang around this time, like not just kind of come in. It's like this is the third time that he's come in. This draconian being, and it's interesting because on Sunday I pulled cards for myself from the mermaid deck, and the next 6 months section I got a message about, they said a mentor, like a trustworthy ally, and when I read the book it was about like a new spiritual being that would come in and be a guide. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm like, oh, it's this being. I'm able to actually connect now and, yeah, get more clarity on what that is. So watch out what's going to come out of me soon. Oh my goodness. Feel excited about that. Okay, so Sarah says, even though here is very strict and tough, I will stay. Yeah, trust. Yeah, okay, so this card is, oh, how interesting. I know what this card is. I just felt the power, and I'm pretty sure I pulled this card somewhere not long ago. Maybe it was on a public live stream. Check out the bottom card of the deck. It's the balance card. You are a peaceful being. That is literally the overlying message. That is the bottom card. This one, the Dawn Watcher. This is the message for this live stream. So Dale says, just checked a whole load of volcanoes in the Atlantic Ocean just off Portugal. So for that whole western shelf to drop off, there would have to be some major activity underneath that earth, don't you think? Volcanoes under the ocean. Well, hello. How interesting. Wonder how my timelines are on this prediction. Let's see, hey? Goodness me. Okay. Still nervous about doing this stuff. But anyway, the Dawn Watcher, so powerful. And this just drops us straight back into the trust and the safety about when we connect into the truth of who we are. When we trust our intuition, we're in the right place at the right time throughout all of this stuff. If we're not being called to do anything, trust that. If we're being called to do something, trust that. This is your guide, okay? The Dawn Watcher. Bells will ring. tell me, guys, if this card's familiar for you. I just read this for someone. I wonder if I read this for a client or something. I only read this, not like, maybe I read it for a client, because this card is so pertinent, right? Okay, I'm going to read the message. I'm pretty sure I read this the other day. Okay, anyway, I'm going to read it again. So interesting. Dragons everywhere. The Dawn Watcher speaks. Never think you are alone in the world. You do have guardians, and I am one of them. If you saw my story before on the fire, before full moon ceremony, I was like, the guardians are here. Like, check out that fire image. Like, it's the guardians were so strong, right? You do have guardians, and I am one of them. I will literally ring alarm bells for you when you have need of forewarning and foreknowledge. There is nothing to fear. When you receive these messages, you simply need to pay attention, take note, and act when the time is right. I will always alert you, and it is my particular domain and charge to watch for the new sky as the sun rises, to let you know that what you have hardly dared even hope for has every chance of coming true. Time to focus on your desires, guys. Watch for the sunrise and know that as she does, so too does your hopes. As these bells will ring out for you to let you know of the approach of new growth, new warmth, and a new energetic time coming for you. Listen and hear the bells ring for you, and then I shall awaken you from your soul sleep. This is deep on life purpose. I read this somewhere the other day, right? I literally will ring alarm bells for you when you have need of forewarning and foreknowledge. Like, literally, this is exactly what it's saying. Like, trust intuition. Like, if you need to go somewhere, you will go. Like, just like I had to get out for lockdown. Like, I was, being obviously recalibrating and sitting like, okay, where's my next step? Where's my next step? And if I go back to Queensland, I don't know if I'll be able to like leave again. And if I don't, and if I can't, well, that's why my intuition told me to get out now, because I wouldn't have been able to leave the state for another 3 years and I would have gone insane. Whereas now I kind of got it out of my system and I'm like, okay, so I kind of get that now, right? So it's interesting, we can trust our intuition even though we don't know why, but when we need to get out of somewhere and keep ourselves safe because our soul purpose isn't up, our soul contract isn't up, meaning we're not going to die yet because our soul purpose is here and our soul contract still needs to be lived out, right? The reason that our intuition will tell us to leave somewhere if we're in an environment that we need to leave from is so that we can still live our life purpose. Okay, and that's why it's so important to listen to that. Okay, so what an awesome dragon, the Dawn Watcher, to come in that. Okay, so this, I'm just going to read the actual like divine message from the card too. That was the message from the dragon. This one is time to be alert and aware, to arise early and pay attention to the signs that abound around you. Selectively. Focus on your mission at this time and work towards it. What I've been saying. Be determined and do not allow others to distract you. Call on the Dawn Watcher to assist you to focus on the messages that are most worth hearing, and so that you do not go into fear. Ding, 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 ding. The Dawn Watcher is a very powerful guardian and will help you greatly by alerting you with plenty of time. All you need to do is pay attention. See? Alerting you with plenty of time. Got it? This is why we're safe and protected and stuff. Yes, you're so welcome. I wonder where the new piece of land will rise up, like seesaw balance, one goes down, another comes up. I know. I'm curious about that too. It's like a dragon. Maybe the European shelf will rise up in the Atlantis. Oh, I know. How interesting, right? This is so interesting. So interesting. All right. So about my necklace, how interesting. Okay. So this piece, I feel like I need to take it off to talk to it. So when I was a kid, so interesting talking about there's sirens going on, how interesting. When I was talking about the 1600s on this live stream. Okay, so when I was a child, my parents separated and my mother lived in Perth, my dad lived in Cairns, and sometimes my dad would be in Broken Hill, which is the place of my birth, and lived for the first 2 years of my life, lived out on a cattle station. And they separated, and as a child, my dad would always take me back out there. And I'm so grateful for that because I freaking love it out there. It's probably why I love the bush. It's in my blood. Now, the cattle station that I actually used to live on used to be an old Cobb and Co station. So in Australia, like in the early 1900s, there was a road, just like there is today, but back then it was the horse and cart, so the Cobb and Co company or whatever, that used to go from Perth, from one side of Australia, to Sydney. And the cattle station that I lived on just happened to be one of the Cobb and Co stopping grounds, like obviously a little town back then that the horse and cart, you know, transport thing would come through. Now, if you've seen photos of me when I go out to Broken Hill out in the outback, so not where I've just been at Lucas's, very different land. But when I go to the outback, it's just red dirt, is desert. There's nothing out there. I freaking love it. And on the station, like there's only ruins left there. Like there's only, it's like, you know, the old stone houses, and it's kind of all collapsed, right? Now, my dad used to take us out there and we used to go bottle hunting. So he would like, you know, teach me, and like I would dig, and like we'd dig under the red dirt. Like this is out in the middle of like the sticks. Like there's nothing out there, right? This is some old broken down stones and you wouldn't even recognize it's a house, right? And so a foot under red dirt. So there's nothing, it's desert. Like this far down. And then you start hitting all the old broken bottles and all sorts of things under there, and we'd go foraging. Like we'd dig all these holes and go foraging and find old bottles. So like the old embossed bottles, you know, like and on them would be like from like New York, like it'd be the glass embossed, like it'd be New York, or it'd be like the old Worcestershires, like the Leon Perrins Worcestershire sauces, I think, you know, like all glass embossed, like you could read it and stuff, you know, like the collector's items, you know, if you find the right ones and they're not damaged or broken or whatever, right? So anyway, and there's all sorts of stuff and it's just big piles of stuff underneath the dirt this much, because that used to be their old rubbish dump. So, you know, the old rubbish dump, and then they'd burn it all. Now, I go back, you know, over the years as a child, you know, would always go out there, wouldn't dig every time, but we did. And when I was 14, we went back. And when I was 14, very significant age of when male and female comes together in a teenager, and that's when we don't need our parents and we're like, buggy all, and we come into our own, right? It's masculine and feminine balance in a child. When I was 14, digging out in the middle of nowhere, I found this. Now, as you can see, it's burnt. It's burnt and it's a bit tricky to see. I wonder if I move back and it might focus on it more. Oh, it's a bit tricky. In the middle is the Gemini symbol, and around the edges is every astrological symbol that there is, like, you know, Gemini, Virgo, like whatever, the whole thing. And it's like it's embossed on there. And for years, I've not been able to get anybody to tell me where it's come from. Now, if you can imagine that Cobb and Co station is from the early 1900s, and how did this end up in the rubbish, in the dump? I don't freaking know. And obviously, like every like psychic development class I'd been to, like over the years and everything, like I get everyone to like tune into it. What do you see? You know, like tell me, where did you come from? You know, and I've done it obviously. There's been many people pick up many things about this. Some people pick up the same thing as well. So if you're intuitively getting messages, it would be interesting before I say anything like that. Oh, the Gemini is the balance of the male and the female. Oh my God. I've never considered that until now. How interesting. And what is it made out of? I've always not known, but people have said, oh, it's bone. And I was like, oh, bone. And then I'm like, well, how did they get that in there? Because it's not, this is like pushed in. So the Gemini bit is pushed in, but these are like pushed out. Like, and someone actually said to me, oh, you know, it looks like it's been pressed into something. Now, I don't know how you would do that on bone. Like, does bone melt to an extent that you can press it? I don't know. There's a bit of a story with it, because for a long time, like, and so another part of the story, so obviously there's a hole in the middle, so obviously someone had it around their neck long time ago, maybe a piece of leather or something. And when I originally tuned in, I was like, how did you get in that dump? And it was literally like, it was around someone's neck with a piece of leather, and whatever happened, or they were angry or upset and they ripped it off their neck and like threw it, you know, sort of thing, or in the rubbish or something. I don't know. That's what I think is, you know, what came through about that, right? Now, when I wanted to wear it, myself. So I got my friend who's a jeweler to make this silver bit on the outside. So obviously I only found it with the, you know, just the middle bit. And before he did it, obviously, no, it was after that. So when he made the silver bit for the outside, on the back of it, there's like a bit of a, hard to tell. That's the glue. That's just the glue. But there's like a lump on the thing. It's like a bit of the, whatever it is. Maybe it's not clay, because surely clay would break. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lump on it, right? And my friend who's a jeweler had told me, I guess it's a bit of story. So he told me that he tried sanding it off so that, you know, it was flat. And he told me that the dust went up his nose. He was kind of coughing and stuff, and he had a blood nose for 3 days. And obviously he stopped, didn't sand it off. Now I thought that was very interesting because people over the years have picked up a pretty dark energy from it. Now people have also, well, when you say that, Dal, like you say, can you find out about who lived on the land and back to their roots, where they came from? Well, the thing is that where this was in the dump on the property wasn't actually where somebody lived. It's actually like where people would come from Perth to Sydney, and from where people come from around the world from Perth to Sydney back in the early 1900s by boat or ship or whatever. And that's like, it's like a train going from Sydney to Melbourne, Sydney to Perth. Like, it's a stopping town, you know what I mean? And so, and that's why there was bottles from New York. It's in the middle of the outback because it was a travel through place. Does that make sense? So who knows where it came from, because there was bottles there from New York and stuff. Don't know, right? I mean, yeah, good question, but it was a stopping town, you know, like people passing through that town at the time. So yeah, people picked up a dark energy. I used to wear it around my neck, and then someone said, oh, you need to take it off your neck, you know, when I was in my early psychic development classes and my training and lightwork practitioner training. And so I never wore it, and I was always a bit scared of it. And I was like, well, what the hell is this, you know? And at one time, like, I had a big poster of like astrological stuff, and there's like a big circle, and I loved it. And in the middle of the circle was a circle, and I don't know what I was doing. I just intuitively did it, and I like placed this down on it, and it like, and I just felt like it was like the realms opened up, and I was like, and I had to take it off because it was so like powerful, and I was just like, whoa, what is this? You know, like I didn't know. And then yeah, and it was just interesting, you know, like I always felt it was a dark energy, can't wear it and stuff because someone had told me not to. And I felt that at the time, but over the years, and in the past maybe 2 years has when it's really started to shift. And, you know, like, it's like, was that me who threw it in the fire? Was that me back then in a past life who had had enough of it or something? There's a lot of people who picked up similar image, similar vision from this originally when they all held it and did the psychometry stuff. And that was that it was in the Gemini era. That's a long time ago. When we think about what are we moving into the age of Aquarius, and what are we now in the age of Pisces? I don't know, are we in Pisces or something? So if this was the Gemini era, that was a long time ago, this big witchcraft stuff, or big, you know, spiritual stuff or something, magic, what have you. And a lot of people picked up the same vision of lots of women in white dresses, and they were all being given one of these around their neck as like a, funnily enough, I'm wearing white dress and stuff, as like a symbol of their initiation, or a symbol of their connection to the, not priesthood stuff, but like something like that. Do you know what I mean? And that, like, all these people picked up similar vision. Maybe they're picking up each other's vision. I don't freaking know. Like, who really knows? But I'm like, anyone know this stuff? Please contact me. I want to know. Who knows, right? So yeah, could be resin. But thank you for the divine balance, the masculine and feminine. I never freaking thought that until now, how significant. But over the years, it's gone from me fearing it to realizing that it's actually powerful. That even though some people might think it's dark or something, there's actually power in it. And it's actually me being afraid of my power, so to speak. And so I'm not scared to wear it anymore. I'm not scared to be afraid of my power anymore. It's kind of interesting, right? And it's so interesting. I haven't worn it for ages and I just felt called to wear it tonight. It's like reclaiming my power. Every time I put it back on these days, it's reclaiming my power. So yeah, I don't need to be scared of my power anymore. But yes, like what are the chances of me finding this a foot under red dirt when I was 14 in the middle of the outback? Like, can you fathom that? Like really? Alchemy, yes. When you were reading the Out About the Dawn, all I could see was a scene I could see where I was reading the beginning of the book of Mists of Avalon. Yes. The Mists of Avalon has been so strong for me the past few months. Oh my goodness. 7 years before your spiritual awakening. Oh my goodness, it was too. I never thought of that either. Oh, you both said it at the same time. Gemini, polarity, balance, male, female, dark, light. Oh my God, how have I never picked that up before? Is that why I hadn't? Thank you for asking, Leanne. There's more information about it tonight. Love that. Bone softens with water, so I can see how that might be possible. Ah, that's so interesting. It's been pretty clever to make this. And then it makes me wonder of like ancient technologies and the laser cut stuff. It's very precision, like even to make the mold that precise. I mean, I guess carvings can be pretty intricate, but it's really intricate. I'll see if I can take a clear photo of it. It's just tricky to see, but yeah, it's very clear and very intricate. Like all the symbols for it. You can, yeah, it's really clear. Okay, some kind of resin. Yeah, it could be. Just like us gathering from all over. Yes. Yes. I felt it was yours in a past life. Yeah, I feel that too. Found myself again. Alchemy. Wearing a white dress. I also wore white today for the full moon ceremony and all day, and it felt like it was an initiation. Yes, it did with the lunar eclipse today and what came through in that tonight. Oh my goodness, that was so powerful. Lush. Yes. I feel that a seed of creation, a code. Yes. Love to see a photo. Yeah, I'll put a photo up for sure. All right, guys, I think I'm done. And I didn't even talk about it. Oh my goodness, the World Prediction. The Goal Reacher program is open. So if you would like to work with me one-on-one, this is 3 months. Deep diving for 3 months. So this is a bit of an intense program for some people, but it's also a longer program. So usually I have my 30-day reality shifter. But in the 3-month Goal Reacher program, there's a lot more in that. So obviously you get 3 months one-on-one with me working over WhatsApp. Plus we also get like phone calls as well with one of my reality awarenesses, top intuitive healers. You get phone calls, so like intuitive healing and life purpose activation calls over the 3 months as well. So you get one-on-one access to me via WhatsApp, unlimited support, unlimited psychic readings, unlimited questions, plus you get the phone calls with the intuitive healer from Reality Awareness as well, which is really exciting because Reality Awareness is expanding. And then there's also cracking the code session with me as well, which is where we uncover your life purpose blueprint and your life purpose gifts for this lifetime. Plus there's 3 distance healings and life purpose activations that I do myself for you over that time as well. So it is a big immersion into really uncovering and releasing anything that's holding you back to really birth and get on track with your goals. So whatever goals they are, whether it is to uncover your life purpose, whether it is to find out who you are, whether it is to get out of a relationship, whether it is to, exponentially grow your career or your path or find out which direction you are in or heading in, the Goal Reacher is a really awesome place to be able to uncover all of that. So I'll put the link in the comments as well for the Goal Reacher. It is in the title of this live stream, or I'll post about it and you'll be able to find it on my page as well. And let's have a look. It's here. Awesome. Did the jeweler say if it could be made from ivory? You know what, it could be. I don't know, he didn't even say what it was. Oh, wait, maybe he did, I don't remember at this time now. But it's so interesting, you know, like when I'd said that to him about, you know, because some people said it was very dark and it was cursed or something. And he's like, well, actually, when I was like trying to get that off the back of it, the dust went up my nose, I had a blood nose for 3 days. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I have done a lot of work with it. Cursed it myself, this thing, throwing it. That's a curse, guys. I'm gonna be careful with what you say. So just pop the link in the comments. I've just pinned it to the top so you can have a look at the Goal Reacher program that is open now. So Dale says, yes, I saw that in a documentary about Egypt years ago about the crystal cutting tools. Yes, was the only way they could cut the hard stone sarcophagus as it had been the tools. As if it had been the tools we thought they had back then, it would have taken hundreds of generations to cut. Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's the laser crystalline cutting stuff like that. Energy's coming back. That's why we'll be able to print something out with our mind soon. 3D printing's already a thing, right? Yeah, Yes, the womb cleansing meditation. You're so welcome, Hayley. It has come at an amazing time for change. Yes, guys, if you haven't got the healing womb meditation, please send me a message. It's free. I've also got some incredible things coming up, a whole crystalline series of activations coming very soon. So keep an eye out for them. So yeah, the Hermes healing activation will give you an idea, or the Hermes healing is a little bit different to what's coming through. They're all very different, but they're all very powerful. So yeah, if you don't have the Hermes healing activation or the womb cleansing meditation, please send me a message. And if you've got any questions about the Goal Reacher, obviously please send me a message about that as well. If you think this live stream can help somebody, please share it with them or share it on your wall. You can share it in a group, share it in a private message. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. You're so very welcome. Thank you for asking about that, Leanne. And I shall see you guys soon. Keeping it real as always. Even though I'm nervous to share these predictions, I still trust and follow through. And let's see what happens, right? Let's see what we create. And remember, we are in deep expansion. Your preparation expansion guide is what I called it originally, and I'll share that later too. Yes. So Dell said, maybe someone put something on it years ago. With chance, the dark energies, and it was taken off you. That energy is gone and cleansed now. Ah, that's so interesting. And it was taken off you. That makes total sense. And if they were to wear it, because I was like, is that me that threw it in the fire, or is that a person who stole it from me to take my power, or vice versa or something? So interesting that they wouldn't have been able to handle the power, which makes a lot of sense. How interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So interesting, right? The whole story of it and my life purpose, and who finds that stuff? Really, guys? Oh dear. All right. Love you guys heaps. See you soon. Thanks for joining live.